Hello and welcome to this session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed. Happy New Year. And I'm very honored to have with us Henri Tremblay, who is a Java champion, and he's presenting at the J Champions conference. Henri, welcome.
Hi, nice
Hi.
to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming. Henri, I understand you're going to be presenting. You have a session called Refactor together, and I I think I have a general concept of what refactoring is. I guess it's like doing spring cleaning, except for you do it for code. But tell us what give us a little more detail for what is refactoring and why is it important?
So the original idea is to, okay, the strict definition of refactoring is I change the code and it does the exact same thing in the end. So
Okay.
then ideally, when you do that, you hope that the code is cleaner and more readable, could be faster as well to execute.
Uh-huh.
But that's what you're targeting for. So you should not change the behavior of the code um, when you're doing refactoring. And there's tricks to do that. There's different books like Refactoring by Martin Fowler that explains little steps that you can do to do an actual refactoring that works.
Mhm.
So and refactoring is important because we have a lot of applications right now. We have a lot of Java code all around the world. Java is now 25 years old. So there's a lot of legacy code, but I don't really like that word because legacy code is generally the code. So you have a big application with a lot of wisdom put in there. It's working, and but you need to adapt it, and it needs to be adapted to new features, new requirements,
Mhm.
new trends. And so you have to modify it to work with it. So so it's not really a legacy application, it's just the application and you need to do more things with it.
What's a
So
better what's a better word than legacy application then?
I'm calling it the application.
Just the application. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying basically you've got these applications that have been out there and maybe you need to update them, make them, I don't know, better, faster, add more functionality. Anything else to consider, when you should consider refactoring?
So but that's you kind of realize, so you try to do something and then you will realize, oh my god, this is really painful. And I must say that in general the painful part is I'm not able to test that thing.
Mm.
So and that's really what I want to address, because you need to keep the original behavior. So if you want to keep the original behavior, you need to be able to have something, some harness that guarantees you that it is the original behavior. And
Okay.
if you're not able to do that, you're doomed.
Okay. So are there some best practices about how you should go about refactoring? I mean, how does one go about doing refactoring?
There are some tricks. That's what I will mostly showcase in during the presentation. So the
Uh-huh.
things you should do, the tricks, the not all the little tricks one after the other, because just read Martin's Folder books if you want all these tricks.
Mhm.
Um, but then there's a way of thinking: what should refactor? When are we going too far? When it's useful? What kind of limits you should put on yourself when doing it, but and what kind of limits you should not put on yourself when doing it as well. This is important. One of the idea is you need tests. So do whatever it takes to get tests in there. It doesn't matter how pretty it is because you want tests. If it's ugly in the end, but you have tests, it's better than before, even if it's uglier, for example. So that's the kind of mindset I'm trying to get into people so they'll feel free. And then it's playful. You just play with the code.
Mhm.
Refactoring is playing with the code. New functionalities, it's serious. You do real things that shouldn't do new stuff.
Uh-huh.
Refactoring, you're there and you see, oh, as you said, a bit like cleaning up, but you're not throwing anything away. You're just rearranging everything
Uh-huh.
so it looks better
Uh-huh.
and it's more practical. And but it's really playing with the code for me. It's really
Okay, that sounds
enjoyable.
like fun. I like the word playing. And are there situations where perhaps you should not do it? Are there some, yeah, I think you kind of touched upon that in when you were speaking earlier. So are there, just like there are situations where it does make sense, are the situations where you should avoid it. It's not like that thing of if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of deal.
There's a bit of that. True. It's a return on investment kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So uh, in some cases, the application works.
Uh-huh.
You have no change to do to it.
Uh-huh.
So why would you touch it at all? It just works.
Uh-huh.
So at some point, maybe because you need to migrate from one version of Java to another, maybe because some frameworks. I highly recommend to always migrate frameworks along the way, because if you wait for too long, it gets really hard and really costly and painful to do it. Um, but and security issues will appear, and you will be forced to at some point. But uh, but in general, if something is fine and you're happy, just don't play with that thing. There's no benefit. It needs to get refactoring needs to bring value. So when you play with the code to improve it, to make it more practical, there's a practical part there. It needs to be easier afterwards to add new features. If that's not your goal because there's no new feature to add, or because it just doesn't improve it, because I just want to play with that new framework,
Uh-huh.
um, there's no benefit. So always think about the value, the yeah, the
Okay.
return on investment again.
All right. Okay. Well, it sounds like definitely a really exciting presentation, and we encourage all the folks out there to check it out. So, one last question, which isn't directly related to the conference. I mean, normally we associate conferences with physical events, and as you've already pointed out, this is a virtual event, as are most events that are going on at this moment. Um, but I always like to kind of talk about the physicality of a place. So I asked you off camera, where are you based? And you mentioned Montreal. So if someone was to visit Montreal, I'm sure there's probably many things to do, many foods to try. But if there's one experience you would ask someone to have, what would it be?
Whoa. What's nice in Montreal? Hmm. Um, it depends what you like. Um, Beer is amazing.
Okay.
So, so for beers fans, going around all the microbrewery or going to any corner store and try out a bunch of beers is a good thing to do.
Hmm.
Seriously, especially during summer. Because you can go to all the microbrewery and sit in front of them, and it's all nice and sunny. Food in general is great, so you can go to. There's a lot of really good restaurants, and it's a mix of like strange plants from Quebec mixed with French food, mixed with other things. So it's quite inspired, and I'm amazed at what they're able to do in there.
Uh-huh.
Um, then the city by itself, we're lucky because we have seasons. Not every place in the world have real seasons.
Uh-huh.
So right now you will see the snow, so you could ski all around Montreal, around Montreal, or go on top of it and look.
Uh-huh.
And just it's just beautiful with all the
Uh-huh.
snow. But if you're there during summer, people are partying all around the place during all summer, and there's a lot of festivals and events. So it's a great city to live in. And just walk around is nice.
Okay.
Actually, bike. We're good for biking. Get a bike and then you go around.
All right then. Okay, Henry, thank you so much for sharing, and I wish you all the best.
You too. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes,
See
thank
you
you.
at the conference. Ciao.
Okay.